Uh, I don't really care about the Chiefs or the Broncos. I'm sorry, I don't really
Me
care
either.
about Chargers Raiders. Quentin Richardson is learning how to catch the ball. Shout out to you. I'm always happy for you. I'm gonna ask you this question because I got to figure out because I'm about to end this podcast here and we'll come back for basketball tomorrow. But I'm gonna ask you this question: two disappointing teams. Who's the most disappointing team? The Atlanta Falcons or the Cincinnati Bengals? Both teams didn't make the
Hmm.
playoffs. One ended 8-9, the other ended 9-8. Both
Hmm.
had 1,000 yard. I think Atlanta had 2,000 yard. They both had 2,000 yard receivers, two 1,000 yard receivers. Uh, they both had the Falcons had a better running game for sure. The Falcons had a better defense for sure. The Bengals had a triple crown winner at wide receiver, the league leader in passing yards, and at quarterback, and then the best, a top three number two receiver, probably a top 20 receiver as your second receiver, who annihilated all the teams that he played the last three in T. Higgins, the last three teams that he played, all the cornerbacks. Who's more disappointing,
Uh,
Falcons or Bengals?
Falcons. I don't think it's even close, and I'll tell you why. Uh, the Bengals are good, kind of on the margins. So, like, yeah, you have an outlier quarterback who's super elite. You have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins who are super elite, and then you have Trey Henderson who's super elite. But outside of that, the team's got a lot of places where it needs to be better across the board. So to me, it's an 80-20. The Bengals were able to win these games because of the 20% that was just better than everybody else in the NFL. But 80% of that team is just like, what are we doing? Why can't the offensive line get it together? Why did we
Boy,
let
they're
Joe
so
Mixon
bad.
go? So yeah, why did we let Joe Mixon go somewhere else and be good? It's just so many different things, so many problems on that team
Mm.
that the guys who are good just basically picked everybody else up. You look across the board on the Falcons team, there's just not that many holes on the team that you can actively point out where you can say, boy, this team stinks here, here, and here. You can say, oh,
Defensive end,
hold on,
linebacker, safety,
hold on,
cornerback.
wait. So if you really look at it, and it's kind of the order I was going to go, defensive end could surely be better. Sure. There's one place we're really bad at. One place. And yeah, we're just bad there. Linebacker, okay-ish. If I look at linebacker cores in the NFL, I don't think that the Falcons are terrible. They just didn't do enough. And then when you look at safety, Jesse Bates is one of the best safeties in the NFL. And Justin Simmons, he wasn't great, but he also wasn't absolutely terrible. He was okay. The things that the Falcons didn't do was unfortunately like more just leadership things. It's coaching. It's not managing the game. It's not it's not making the right changes. So to me, I don't think that the Bengals are really fully equipped. And I will also say the Falcons had the easier road. It was kind of paved in gold for them to win the NFC South, and you just didn't get it done. And for me, the Falcons are the much larger disappointment. And Jadeveon Clowney, sure you sent us home, but let me tell you one thing: you always got a new home. Every year you go into a new team, so pack it up. And the thing is now, you on the worst team in the NFL, and surely they beat us. But that's probably going to be the only team to ever call you back.
I think the Falcons are the bigger disappointment, not because they don't have holes on the roster. I think the Falcons are the bigger disappointment because they knew the holes on the roster that they had and they didn't address them. We've had a defensive end edge need since John Abraham. We are
Right.
on GM number 2, coach number 4. I think we had Vic Beasley for 1 year where we went to the Super Bowl. He had like 20 something sacks. After that, Vic Beasley disappeared. And we still haven't addressed that. You The obvious thing is the reason you're disappointed is because you spent something million and you benched a quarterback in week 10. I also think that ended up saving your job. Go follow the SplashCast where I talked about that. I think that saved Terry Fontenot's job. But you also did not address the second cornerback as adequately as I would have liked. I didn't like the Mike Hughes signing. I would have put him at nickel. He would have been a great nickel cornerback because that's what he played. You went out there with D. Alford. You went out there with Mike Hughes. Justin Simmons was good. Justin Simmons tackling is awful. I mean, it is awful. And you didn't address. You spent all that money, and you could have addressed literally every single thing in the draft or in free agency by not doing Kirk Cousins. But I'll shy away from that because of you did get Michael Penix.
And you swung and missed. You swung and missed on Matthew Judon. That looked like.
And you tampered.
It's a. Yeah, like that.
I mean, we only got. I've done the mock drafts. We only got 5 picks, and the teams know it. They be like, "Hey, I'll give you a 4th round pick for your next year's second." You'd be like, "Bro, I'm not stupid." But anyway, the reason I say that they're worse than the Bengals is because of those things. Now, the Bengals are just a terribly run organization, but Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson are disappointing. Are good, but like you said, outside of them, you can't name anybody else on that team because nobody else on the team is worth naming. And they're now in a conundrum because they have to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And Joe Burrow is already on tape saying, or on the record saying, I would like to have both of them back. And his stats tell you he would like to have both of them back, as I lead the league in passing. So,
and you should find a way to get him back.
Because T. Higgins that's is where the money is.
That's where I do give Terry Fontenot a lot of bail is everything that we've seen from Michael Porter Jr., check box, and that was a roll of the dice.
Penix.
That was not liked at that time. So that was a good one. Bijan Robinson, as much as that wasn't probably the guy who I was going to pick, you can't ask for any more from that guy.
Yeah. I like it. I like the pick, but I still wouldn't have made that pick. I still wouldn't.
But if you're going to get a guy who's a top 5 running back both years, what else who are you going to draft that was going to be a top 5 of their position for 2 years in a row?
Jalen Carter.
I mean, yeah, that was my pick, but fair. But what I'm saying is, I can't get mad with you for that. Bijan looks like everything.
Algier, who was a 1,000-yard rusher. You can't. I've been mad. I like Bijan, and I've been quiet, but you get that Jalen Carter with Grady Jarrett. All that defensive end crap that we have a problem with, you could have put anybody out there, anybody, because you wouldn't have been able to guard him. So I get what you're saying, but
and Drake London was an excellent pickup. I think that he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL going into next season, and he is a dog.
He could be.
He is a dog.
Gotta work on the drops, but yeah, if he gets those drops on there, because Michael Penn is gonna put it right, he gonna hand it off to you.
The drops could be better, but his level of intensity, enthusiasm, and he has no issue getting physical on the block. Oh man, he might not be perfect, but he's a slam dunk, and he sets the pace for that team. He don't take no shit. And we need
Mike
that's
Evans.
one thing.
Little Mike Evans,
exactly.
Or big Mike Evans. I think that's
I love Drake London. I love watching him. I wish that Kyle Pitts had the dog in him that he has. That's really the difference between the two. Drake London is just a man on a mission. And if you get in front of him, he's going to do his best to knock your face loose, whether he's running the ball or catching the ball or blocking. He's a football player.
Yeah, going into the offseason, the Bengals have more issues to address, and that puts them in a bad space. But the Falcons We have an anchor at every position. Yeah, come on, YouTube, Instagram. We have an anchor at every position. We have an anchor at receiver. We have an anchor at running back. We have an anchor at quarterback. We have an anchor at offensive line. We have an anchor at defensive line. We have an anchor in the secondary, and we have an anchor at safety. We just got to fill in the pieces. You probably got to draft a linebacker. You have to draft a linebacker. And it's only two. You either get Jalen Walker from Georgia, or you get the linebacker from Alabama, who everybody thinks who is number 2. You got to get two of those guys.
The Falcons' biggest issue, I hate to say it, is the coach.
Yes, it is the big. Yes, I agree. But you can mitigate those issues if you were to get a linebacker that can cover. Like Troy Anderson was good, but he's hurt. Nate Landerman is great at 0 to 3 yards. If the play is within 0 to 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, he's gonna be there every time. You do any action pass, he cooked. He's cooked. Bryce Young ran around him and pointed at him.
We do not have a coach that can make. He's milquetoast. He was all like the biggest concern about him is what ended up being true. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he is. He's a good public speaker. He's like a stockbroker. The Great Gatsby. Like he's really good at like saying the right things and smiling and da 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 da. But like when you get to the meat of it, pause if necessary. When you get to him where the rubber meets the road and you gotta showcase your coaching talents, it happens so many times this year. And I think that's the bad thing. It may have happened before with Raheem, or like 1 or 2 games. This year it happened for 9 games in a row. Let's see, we're 6-2, right? 6-3. So it happened for 8 games in a row, where poor play calling and poor play and poor decision making
management
all came together at one time, and it culminated in us not making the Pro Bowl. Making the playoffs, which we wouldn't have been able. We could have if we beat Washington, we would have had to play them again, and I think we could have beat them. I think we were better than Washington. Full stop. I think we were better than Washington.
Yeah, we just manage the game better, we win. That is the thing that Arthur Blank needs to look long and hard at. Is the reason that you're not in the playoffs is because your coach didn't do his part. The players, even Kirk Cousins, that October, like I know that he fell off, but Kirktober really set the pace for this team early. It got us back into feeling like winners again. And it reminded us what it looked like, what a team can be when the quarterback plays well. You got to also reinstill what winning looks like, especially when you have 2 years of just pissing it away. There's no other way to put it.
Who, the Falcons?
Yes.
7.
So you go
7 years.
No, but what I'm saying, no. That Matt Ryan, not the last Matt Ryan year, but the year before was decent. Then we had the Mariota and Ritter era, and then the Kirk. But Kirk got us back to remember what a winning Falcon team looked like. It's an overpay, but it was needed. And I don't even think we could have went from Mariota, Ritter right to Michael Penix. You needed the bridge. So the bridge was there, but at the end of the day, for me, man, Raheem ain't it.
We haven't had a winning season since we went to the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. So Raheem's got to figure it out. He's earned another year. I think him and Terry have earned another year because of the draft and Michael Penix.
So. I don't think so. I think that he'll get another year. I don't think that Raheem Morris has earned another year. But that's just me.
I think him and Terry are joined at the hip.
I think Terry
Raheem gets another year. Terry gets another year. But Raheem to me has to figure out what he's going to do with Jimmy Lake. You need to either go get Gerard Mayo to bring in to help or whatever. But Jimmy Lake was supremely out of class. He was he could not call the right plays. I would bring in Ryan Nielsen.
I assume Ryan Nielsen wants to get the hell out of Jacksonville.
He could just coach the defensive line if that's all he wants, and bring them all. You know, players go with coaches now. Bring some of them Jacksonville D linemen over here.
Bring Ryan Nielsen back as the defensive coordinator, bro. You did a great job. I know you left with Arthur Smith. I would really like to have you back. I don't
co-defensive coordinator. I don't think he's going to get rid of Jimmy Lake. Not this year. That's
going to get you fired. Everything is about decisions. Matter of fact, that's the name of the show. Decisions. Because that's it. The decisions that you make, if you keep Jimmy Lake, and I'm going to be honest, Raheem, you need some people to elevate you. You ain't doing the best job. You can't have people who bringing you down. You got to get it together. You don't get the chance to be like, oh, let me help some. No. What do they say when you're on a flight? Put your oxygen mask on first.
Yep. But, ladies and gentlemen, if we have anything else to talk about, we'll continue it before the basketball segment tomorrow. It is 1 o'clock, and we are both whooped. So, Norwood, if we didn't miss anything, very briefly, take us to the basketball segment.
Oh, we out of here. See y'all tomorrow. Hawks play tomorrow, so we'll give you a live look. Peace.
Yep. As always, remember, like, follow, subscribe. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We out of here.
Wait, hold on. What should they do? Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, my friend. Be in for it.